over $1 trillion are siphoned out of countries and into tax havens each year through illicit financial flows like tax dodging, money laundering, and terrorist financing. That's money being drained away from the hospitals, schools, and social services in your neighborhood. And it's all made possible by one of the world's greatest enabler of inequality, financial secrecy. To better understand how tax havens facilitate illicit financial flows and how we can stop them, the Tax Justice Network developed the Financial Secrecy Index that ranks countries by their contribution to global financial secrecy in order of worst offenders to lesser offenders. Unlike tax haven blacklists published by political bodies that point fingers mostly at small islands, the Financial Secrecy Index shows that the greatest contributors to global financial secrecy are actually some of the world's richest countries: Switzerland, the United States, the UK's tax haven network, and many other OECD countries dominate the top ranks of the index. The Financial Secrecy Index is based on two components. First, the secrecy score. This is an assessment of each jurisdiction's laws and international treaties. The secrecy scores tell us how secretive is a jurisdiction. The second component measures how much each jurisdiction is actually used by foreign residents. In other words, how much money is going into that jurisdiction's financial sector. The Financial Secrecy Index ranking combines both components. So the countries at the top of the index are the biggest contributors to financial secrecy, and not necessarily the most secretive ones. But this is only part of the problem. The Financial Secrecy Index focuses mostly on the laws and policies that enable wealthy individuals to hide wealth or launder illegal proceeds. But what about multinational companies avoiding tax on the billions in profit they declare? An estimated $500 billion in corporate tax is dodged globally each year by multinational corporations. That's enough to pay the UN's annual underfunded humanitarian aid budget 20 times. Corporate tax havens enable this massive tax drain by offering loopholes that allow multinationals to shift their profits from the countries where they actually operate into tax havens that collect little to no tax. To capture this other side of the coin, the Tax Justice Network published the Corporate Tax Haven Index in 2019. This index focuses on how corporate tax havens enable multinationals to escape tax and ranks countries by their complicity in global corporate tax havenery. This new index also combines two components. First, a haven score that assesses how each country's laws and tax treaties enable corporate tax avoidance. Second, it looks at how much countries are used in practice by multinationals. Both indexes are available online for free, complete with all the data and sources analyzed by the indexes. They identify not only the worst offending countries, but also how they do it. That means nations can use these indexes to identify loopholes that need closing and policies that should be adopted to stop the draining of revenue from their economies and to make their societies better places to live in. My name is Moran Harari, and I work for the Tax Justice Network that is part of the EU project Coffers, which is about combating fiscal fraud and empowering regulators. That was my 2 cents. Now let's find the remaining billions.